Typically, we honor an animal that rescues a human life. But this morning, we honor a lady that rescued animals. In fact, hundreds and hundreds of animals. In September, a fire broke out in the hills near Goldendale, Washington, and quickly spread to many thousands of acres. Homes were lost, and many families were evacuated from the area. But what about their animals, livestock, and pets? Where could they go? Our hero, Melody, jumped into action.
I'm also a volunteer EMT with Rescue 7, and so we were called out the first night to be at the fire hall out on Box Canyon Road, where the fire was raging in full force. What are we going to do about all of the livestock that may well be trapped because of the fire? We're a very rural community, and there's a huge livestock value here. We have lots of ranchers, and then there's, of course, a whole lot of people that own personal animals. For the most part, anybody that's an animal owner, their animals are one of their children, so near and dear to their hearts. And so many people would not have left willingly had they known their animals had to stay there. And we immediately started getting calls of, we have so many animals and they need to get out, here's where we're at. And if they were in a certain level of the fire, they put those at 3 different levels, but they were within a certain level that nobody could go in. We had 105 Shar-Peis that needed to be rescued. The gentleman that owned them refused to get out unless his animals would also be able to come, and he was in one of the evacuation zones. It was really hitting a high priority. Just so many animals that it became amazing to see the full effort that was taking place, the community involvement. Then it became apparent pretty rapidly that we needed somebody at the fairgrounds to be able to control. This is where the animals were all being taken. It was also where the fire incident command was set up. It was also where Red Cross ended up being. Great working with Red Cross. The relationship that I feel that I've built with Kelly and Chris and the rest of the people there was amazing for me. I had no idea what Red Cross did. Other than what you hear on the news, Red Cross was there for this. I had no idea, though, the capacity that they could fill and the things that they had to offer. But we had evacuees there, we had animals there, we had firefighters. It was a tent city for firefighters. And then we also, of course, had the animal rescue. So we ended up with animals varying from chickens, goats. As I would imagine, we had about 35 to 40 head of horses. We had rabbits. The alpacas, we had llamas, and then, of course, all the dogs. They came along with a number of little puppies that were absolutely precious. And I don't know what you know about Shar-Peis, but they purr when you pet them, the puppies, so it was like holding a little kitten, and they would just snuggle up against you and purr as you were petting them and comforting them. Like I said, it became apparent that we needed to have somebody, a person there at the fairgrounds to organize all of that. So that became my duty. I was there for 8 days and pretty much 8 nights, pretty much 24 hours a day, walking back and forth. We had a 107-degree temp through the whole period, so it was important that the animals were all kept cool. So these alpacas were sweating to death. At where they're at, they have sprinklers that come up from under the ground and spray to keep them cool during the day. It's set up on an automatic sprinkler system, just like your lawn would be. So at the fairgrounds, we don't have that. So it was a matter of going 3-4 times a day and spraying them down, taking a hose with a sprayer on it and literally spraying them down to keep them cool. And the most precious thing you can see is to watch these animals come running to you. And they talk too, just like those little puppies did. They have their own cooing noises and stuff. And as you're spraying them, they will run closer and closer and come right up to you. Their necks are high in the air, and you're just soaking them, and they're just dripping, and they're just running and waiting for their turn and pushing each other out of the way to get it. I think we would have lost quite a number of animals had that not, come together and the community pull together to do that.